Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm just going to be doing a really casual get ready with me. My hair is wet, I look like a mess, but there's a tropical storm hitting I think today, and I still need to go to the store and like get water and stuff. So yeah, I already filmed this video, but I didn't like how my eyeshadow turned out, and I was gonna post it, and then I was like, I just don't want to put that video out in the world. So I did miss an upload this week, but I'm not sure when you're going to see this. I might be filming a video after, but I just wanted to play around with the Mandalorian palette from Colourpop. It's the Baby Yoda one, and show you guys like a nice green look that I think is pretty wearable. It definitely still has a green aspect to it, so it does have color, and I think anything is wearable. It depends on your terms, but it's just a makeup look for me that I feel really comfortable in wearing around. And I also wanted to play with a few of the things that you guys requested to see on camera. I asked you guys on Instagram what products you guys wanted to see me use, and a lot of you said a lot of different things, so I will have to take some time and eventually film with all of those things. So if there is anything in specific you know I have and you want to see me film with, let me know. But for the most part, I'm going to be using a lot of the Rare Beauty base products and then a few of the other like bronzery stuff that you guys requested to see. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let's just get into it. Okay, so I already have my sunscreen on, and I'm using today the biossance one, which I'm almost through with, which is a very glowy sunscreen on me, at least when I use the right amount. So I like using a really glowy base under the Rare Beauty foundation, so I'll either wear that sunscreen or I'll wear my normal sunscreen, which is a bit on the glowy side, with my Becca First Light priming filter, which just adds a bit of a glow and hydration to the skin. So I think I'm going to start with my eyes, I guess. Actually, no, I'm just gonna start with my base just because that's what I feel like doing. So I'm gonna use my Rare Beauty foundation. I have the shade 170W. Yeah, I'm just gonna take this foundation. I really like how it has a doe foot applicator because I find it really easy to just swipe on the face in the mornings. So I kind of wipe off the brush so I don't get too much, and I just do about 3 stripes on my cheeks. That's where I need the most coverage. It looks like a lot, but it is a really thin layer, and I end up blending it out. And then do a little bit on my chin, a tiny bit on my nose, and then a little bit on my forehead. I find that the places I like where it looks the least is in the center of my face, so I try not to apply too much product there so it doesn't end up looking too dry. So I'm just gonna blend that out with my Fenty Beauty 115 foundation brush. I don't really know what I'm going to be talking about in this video. I also just wanted to say that in my last declutter video, I got a few comments about like how it wasn't a big declutter and like I didn't get rid of that much. So why did I even do a video on decluttering if I barely got rid of anything? And I did get a lot of love on that video, and a lot of you guys did enjoy it. So thank you to those who did. And if you didn't, I put a disclaimer at the beginning of the video, but I'll say it again here. Not that any of those people are watching, but my makeup collection is stuff that I buy myself. I don't have a ton of money to spend on makeup. I am a normal person who uses makeup in my everyday life, and I just love beauty, so that's why I have a lot of it. And I don't buy stuff knowing that once or twice a year I'm going to go through my collection and get rid of half of the stuff that I bought, you know? Because as much as I can sell stuff on Poshmark or give it to friends, that's a lot of money going to waste. I just don't get those kind of comments because it's like, why would I have those products in my makeup collection if I knew I didn't like half of them or I could get rid of half of them? I get sometimes like you just want to go through a big purge, but like, I don't know. I just wanted to address that. So this is the Rare Beauty foundation. You can't really tell because the camera quality isn't that good. Again, tropical storm coming, so it's literally gray outside. So I am using artificial lighting. I'm hoping this setting of my light is a little bit better, but this is how it looks. It doesn't cover all of my redness, and like you can still see this acne here, but I find it gives me a really good coverage for what I enjoy. And I don't know, I've just really been liking how this looks on my skin. I mean, I definitely need a glowy or some sort of hydrating base underneath because it does tend to like cling to a little bit of my dry patches. But when I do that, I find my skin looks so good. Like, this is one of my favorite base products because it's so thin and it just looks like skin, and I honestly can't feel it on my skin. Like, I know that's kind of a big claim, but it's so thin and weightless. It's a very similar consistency to the Kosas tinted face oil, but I think with a little bit more coverage and an easier design to apply because it is in a doe foot. So I do like to take a little bit under my eyes just to give my concealer a jump start for coverage, because the concealer I find doesn't have a ton of coverage and it is really brightening, so I don't like to apply too much. But when I apply a little bit of the foundation under there, it's not too thick under my eyes, but I find it makes it easier for me to get the coverage I want and not apply too much concealer. So that's the base. I do really enjoy it, and I've been enjoying all of the Rare Beauty stuff I got, honestly. I don't regret buying any of it. So next I'm going to go in with the concealer, and again, the shade 170W. This is just like a light shade with some olive undertones, so just light yellow. And this concealer is really brightening, so compared to the foundation, you'll see, like, it's very bright. But I have found, and I discovered this through a Smoky Glow video and through experimentation, that this concealer, either on top of another concealer or just applying a little bit, it makes you look so awake because of how brightening it is. So I don't think this is the best concealer because of its coverage. I think this is such a good concealer because of how just brightening it appears your face. Not just brightening in the shade, but also just, it makes me look really awake and fresh, which I really enjoy. So you can't necessarily tell in this video, and typically I like my concealer to be a little bit, like, make me look awake, or I'll get that through my under eye corrector, but I find it just doesn't emphasize my under eye circles, but it doesn't have that much coverage to it. I don't know how to explain it. It doesn't look like I'm wearing a ton of makeup, but I still feel like my appearance is enhanced. So this is the Rare Beauty concealer brush, which I picked up during the Sephora sale. I've actually really been enjoying this concealer, and at first I was like, it's an okay concealer, but if you like full coverage concealers, put on your normal concealer and put this just in the inner part of your eye and see how you like it, or just try applying a little bit. I know it sounds weird, but especially on like fresher makeup days, it just looks so good. For my cheek products, honestly, everyone said a different cheek product that they wanted to see me use. So, for cream bronzer, I honestly got a little bit of everything, but it was between the Oma Beauty contour stick and the Milk Makeup bronzer, which I really enjoy both of these. I think I'm gonna do the Milk Makeup bronzer just because I keep talking about how this one is like my favorite cream bronzer of all time. So I might as well show you guys how it looks on the skin. I've had this for about a year. This was my first cream bronzer. I'm just using an e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. Sorry, I feel like I forget to say what brushes I use. And I have never once disliked it. When I first got this, which was last year, I didn't wear the amount of makeup I do now, or the amount, or like how often. Like, I only did my makeup maybe like a few times a week, if that, for class, just because I had early classes and I was waking up at 8 and sometimes I just didn't have the time. But I would use this, and I didn't wear foundation, I just wore concealer, so I just swiped this directly on my face and it was even faster. But I just find this bronzer blends so easily, and it's really easy to work with. I find it's a very beginner friendly product. They only have 2 shades, I want to say, so I don't really support the brand right now, but again, I've had this for a while. The formula, since it is matte bronzer, it still is a cream. It has a little bit more pigment to it, so it doesn't take as long to build up compared to like the Fenty one, which is a little bit more sheer, and it's more long wearing because of that. And I live in Florida. It is hot here. It is hot. And this bronzer stays really well. I mean, it's still gonna move around, but I feel especially for the summer, this looks great, and it doesn't emphasize dryness at all. In fact, most of the time when I was wearing makeup, it was over the winter when I first was like, not when I first was getting into makeup, but like before I really got back into my love for makeup, when I would just casually wear it. And I still loved makeup, I just didn't love putting it on every day. But I don't know, this is just a really easy cream, and I find whenever I have this in my makeup basket rotation, I just really enjoy using it because it never does me wrong. The Almost stick I do really like, but I find because it has a lot of pigment, I have to apply such a little amount that it takes a little bit longer to blend out, whereas this one I just go straight over everything and it looks perfect. So you get a lot of product in this, so I would never buy the full size again. I would always get the mini, and I don't know, this is just probably my favorite cream bronzer. I do enjoy the Fenty one as well for different reasons, but that one is just, it's just so effortless, but it still gives you a really bronzed look, but it doesn't look too makeup-y. Here it is with the lighting really down low so you can get a good idea of the color. So like you can tell I'm wearing bronzer, and maybe I should have gone a little lighter today, but there's just something so special about that formula, and I know it got a lot of hype on YouTube, especially when it first came out, but I think it is for a good reason, and it's such a good bronzer. I wish they would come out with so many more shades because everyone should get to try that bronzer. So now for blush. You guys honestly requested a little bit of everything. Okay, I think I'm gonna go in with my Cosmetics Serum Blush. This is the shade Rose Milk. It's just a good blush that'll match a lot of different things. So I don't really put it on the back of my hand just because I don't feel like doing that and cleaning it up. So I just take my e.l.f. small stipple brush and I just take it on there carefully so I don't break it, but I just find it's easiest for me. And the only thing about this blush it is really glowy, and you might be able to see that in my application. So I always set this. I mean, I usually always lightly set my cheeks, but this one is just really glowy, especially because I like a really blushy look, so I have to apply a decent amount of this. It literally is like a serum, so like the texture of like a hyaluronic acid serum is exactly how this is. So keep that in mind. It isn't like a traditional cream, which is like the Milk one, which is a little bit more on the matte side. It's glowy and you can see it, but I find it also helps with the blendability of this, and I just think these blushes are really beautiful. The packaging is gorgeous. I know it can be dysfunctional sometimes, but I don't even drop it out. I just don't find, I don't know, I just don't like putting stuff on the back of my hand, which is also why I like stuff like the Rare Beauty foundation, just because I just can't be bothered to clean up after doing my makeup. Like, that doesn't sound fun to me, especially when I'm in a rush. I don't want to have to remember to clean up what's on my hand. And again, I ran the leftover brush on my under eyes, but this is what it looks like. You can tell it is glowy, but I will set that down a little bit, but it is really pretty. I always wear a lot of blush, but I find at the end it ends up looking okay. So let me turn that up a little bit. And I'm gonna go in with the Rare Beauty highlighter next because I haven't featured this yet, and this is my favorite cream highlight. I have a new favorite highlight of all time, which I will show you when I do a full face of the stuff I bought from the Sephora VIB sale haul. So this is the shade Mesmerize, and I just wipe off a little bit on the tip of my doe foot, which I really like these doe foots because they're like curved, and I just do a few dots. These aren't as pigmented as I've heard the blushes are. So just kind of do it, and as you can see, it looks like it's gonna be a little dark, but honestly it blends out to be perfectly fine. And especially with blush, the amount of blush that I apply, it ends up blending right into that. So I take my blush brush, which is the Zoeva 128 Cream Cheek. This is what I use for all of my potted blushes, and I use the e.l.f. one for my liquid blushes, but I just use this. I used to use my fingers, but I just find this does a better job of blending it in a more seamless way because my finger is very precise, and I don't know, I just like how the brush is, and it also is so much faster. So I obviously didn't need the glow, but as you can see, it's just a nice subtle glow. It can be built up to be more metallic, but in my opinion, I think it looks best as a really natural glow. And I know that the shades are kind of weird, but I don't think you need to stress out too much about what shade you get, because at least for me, highlighter, I don't know, for me, highlighter shades, I don't really stress about it because I feel like at the end of the day, a highlight is a highlight. Like, as long as it looks good on my skin, I think it's gonna blend into whatever blush I'm wearing. And I don't know, highlighter isn't something I think I need unique shades in. I just think I need whatever highlight I think looks good on my skin. So that's that. And I think now let's go ahead and set my face. So I'm just taking my Hourglass translucent veil powder. This is the most glorious powder of all time. Yeah, if you have drier skin or you don't really like the look of powder but you still like to powder things down to make it long wearing or whatever it may be, this powder is amazing. I did not mean to use this powder on my under eyes. I usually use a different powder, but whatever, I already did it. So I guess I'm taking that on my under eyes, which is fine. I like it on my under eyes. And then I'm just going to take a light amount. So I have some of my cap and I always just swirl it around to get it evenly in the brush. And I just tap around to set the rest of my face. And as you can see, it doesn't take away too much of the glow, but it just makes my face look better. Like you can tell, this side versus this side, this makes it more of, I don't know, it just makes it look better when it's not all glowy, especially on camera. And especially with masks, I don't want super glowy cheeks. That will just end up all over my mask in about 10 minutes when I go to put on a mask to go wherever. So okay, and then I just took that around the rest of my face. Again, I just take a really light layer and then I just kind of feel to see where anything is a little bit not tacky but still not set. And let me see if I still need some on my under eyes. I think my under eyes are good. Actually, this powder does look really beautiful on the under eyes, which you can't tell. And I'm actually liking this a bit more than my normal under eyes, especially with the small amount of concealer. I just love this base so much. So I don't think I need any powder products, to be honest. But after I do my eyeshadow, I will go in and see if my face needs a little bit more color to it. But yeah, those are the Rare Beauty base products and my two others that I'm featuring. So you can't see it that well. I can turn off the light, but this is what the colors look like. Again, you can't tell because my camera isn't super high quality, but I just think especially my under eyes and like just my base in general looks super flawless. Okay, now I'm going to use the Mandalorian palette, aka the Baby Yoda palette. I'm going to take a little bit of my Fenty Beauty eye primer. I kind of played around with this palette twice, so I think I know what kind of look I want to go for today. So first, I'm going to take this shade, which is Little Frog. First of all, the formula on this palette is stunning. This is my first pressed powder ColourPop palette, and I'm actually going to get a second one. I think I'm going to get the Raw Beauty Christy palette because I'm just so excited for her and I love the packaging, and I think that'll be so fun, especially because I'm doing more eyeshadow with some depth, so I'm really excited for that. But I'm going to take the shade Little Frog, which is, it's not a shimmer shade, but it's their matte green shade with like glitter running throughout, which I actually don't mind because I think it is pretty and you can definitely blend out the glitter if you want. But here's what it looks like. I'm just going to take this and swipe it all over the lid, and this is what I want the lid shade to be. And I find putting the color on the lid and a neutral in the crease makes colorful eyeshadow a little bit more wearable for me, because when my eyes are open, you can't see too much color. I don't know. I don't really mind wearing color, but I'm not one to go super out of my comfort zone, especially if I know I'm going to be seeing real people. But of course, during quarantine, or what even is it now? The US is not on quarantine, but during the pandemic, it's not like I'm seeing people anyways. So it's the perfect time to get out of my comfort zone and then be comfortable being out of my comfort zone. So then by the time quarantine is over, I just don't care anymore. So looking for a brush. Now that it looks like this, it's really messy. I'm just going to take my ColourPop E2 and I'm just going to blend out the edges of that. I actually think this eye needs it a little bit higher up, but just blend out the edges and into the crease, but without any new shadow in the crease. Also, I think this palette is getting restocked for Black Friday, so if you wanted a good green palette, especially ones with some more grungier green tones, like fall green tones, I would recommend this. It is a little bit more expensive than their normal 9-pan shadows, but it's because they have to pay for the Disney usage. But I love Star Wars and I'm watching The Mandalorian season 2 right now, so I just had to get it. So next I'm going to take the shade Just Like a Tatooine. These shade names are kind of weird, but not weird because I know they're Star Wars related, but I feel like they're kind of like, I feel like they're just kind of like half effort, like whatever. But it's just a mid-tone brown shade, and I'm going to take that on the same brush and put this in the crease. Okay, so I'm going to take my e.l.f. Fluffy Eye Blender Brush, which is one of my favorite eyeshadow brushes, and just go in again to blend that out. I think there's a little bit of a gap between the two colors that I'm trying to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the original Colourpop brush in the original Little Frog shade and just put that right where the colors meet, not too much in the crease, but just to kind of close that gap. And I can also go in after and apply a little bit more of the color higher up on my lid. But I don't want there to be a disconnect, but I don't want this too high in my crease, otherwise I think it gets muddy. I always think it's fun, especially with colorful shades, to see how people do it in like a more wearable sense, because as pretty as some of the looks are on Instagram, they're just not for my skill level and not for everyday for me. So I'm just taking the Little Frog shade again and bringing back some of the color just because it blended out a little bit. But I don't know why I did that, because I'm gonna end up putting shimmer on top anyways. But just one more time, blending it into the crease. And I look like a frog or like Shrek, but that's okay. As my boyfriend says, whenever I wear this palette, I'm just dressing like Baby Yoda. So can't hate Baby Yoda, so you can't hate your eyeshadow. Okay, so I brought the brown a little bit high, so I'm just gonna take this little e.l.f. Cream and Sugar palette, which I like this palette for these two shades in particular, because I just like to take the cream color and put it wherever I put a little bit too much colored eyeshadow to kind of neutralize whatever I just did. Not completely, but it just calms it down a little bit, because this is a skin toned eyeshadow for me. So I really do like this quad for that reason, but on its own I don't use this a ton. So next I'm going to take the shade Sipping Soup, which is a more shimmery version of the same green we were using, and I'm going to apply this just all over the lid. And as you can see, it's a little bit lighter in tone to the matte one, and I'm just gonna kind of cover that entire shadow. And I go back and forth between swiping it and then just tapping it out, and I do take my finger a little bit higher to tap it to blend it up a little bit higher. Okay, and then I'm going to take the shade The Force, which is, you'll just see this shade. So I think this is a Super Shock shade, I'm honestly not sure. So it looks gold, but it does have a greeny type of flip. So you can see on my eye, it just looks gorgeous. Definitely such a unique shade, and I think this could be a kind of similar shade to the shade in the Pat McGrath Bronze Seduction palette, that green fairy dust type of shade that Julia Adams used in her mossy green makeup look, I want to say. So I'm just gonna blend the edges of that. This is what the eyeshadow is looking like, and I will actually show you a swatch of that compared to a single shadow I have, because I personally think that that shade is one of the standout shades in this palette. But I'm just blending out the edges, and let me show you really quick. So this is my single shadows palette, and this is the shade Dahlia from Dandelions. Elise on Instagram always raves about this, and I think this is closer to the Pat McGrath shade. It looks like this on the finger, and then swatched, it has a little bit more of the, not glitteriness, but it is more like a sheer base. And as you can see, it is a darker base, but it flips to this really pretty green shade. And then this is the Mandalorian one. So this one has a little bit more gold to it and a little bit less of that green flip, but kind of similar effect. I'm just gonna tap my finger into the Dandelions one and Dahlia and just do that in the center, just to add a little bit more dimension. Okay, I do really like that, but I feel like my eyelids are now shimmer galore. So I'm going to take I can never find my brushes when I'm filming. I'm gonna take my Morphe Jaclyn Hill JH34 brush, which is just like a really good crease brush in the Tatooine brown shade again, and just blend that out a little bit more and bring back a little bit of the brown color. And then I'm going to take my Real Techniques base shadow brush and take that in the same shade and run that on my lower lash line. I might do some green down here, but I feel like to keep it more neutral and wearable, I'm just gonna do the brown for now. Okay, and that's how the eye look is looking. It's not like my best work ever, but I think just in general, taking a colorful shimmer on the lid and blending it out with a more neutral brown is how I really like to do my more fun makeup looks. So I think the Baby Yoda palette is a beautiful palette. It just blended so easily. These shades are really fun and unique, and I'm really impressed by the ColourPop formula. I also love the cardboard packaging for some reason. I just think it feels so cool. And also it has the name here on the palette, so that way when it's in your drawer, if you have a lot of similar palettes, you can tell which one is which. So I'm going to do my eyebrows and mascara, and I will be right back. Okay, brows and mascara are on. I used, of course, my Marc Jacobs at lash'd, and then just my nudestix brow pencil. I did a little bit of the pencil, but not much, mostly the brow gel. And okay, I think all I have left is lips. I'm gonna line my lips using the ColourPop Lippy Pencil in BFF. Okay, and that's the color. These lip pencils are really good, especially because of the price. They are just so affordable. And I think I'm gonna use my Charlotte Tilbury lipstick in JK Magic, just because I got a few lipsticks in the Sephora sale. I know, it's quarantine, whatever. And so I just wanted to make sure I get to show you guys these shades in action. So this is more of a nude on me shade. I guess it wasn't the most helpful to show you guys over a lip liner, but I'm sure this will be in future videos as well. But it is just a nice everyday color for me. It's not my favorite color of all time, but I think this one is super wearable, and it is creamy while still not being too glossy. Let me know if there are any products that you guys want to see in action, because I know a lot of you guys have been requesting that I do different products and videos. I'm sorry this is so long. I can't believe this video took so long. That's why I usually don't film me doing my makeup anymore. But I did get a few messages asking if I could do more videos showing how I do my makeup or stuff like that. And I know it is helpful to see the makeup in action rather than just talking about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up, and I will have swatches of some of my new products on Instagram, especially like stuff like the lipsticks. I do have some blush swatches and everything like that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!